see ya. Do another reading of the Elders White Bison meditation with the Native American Elders book. I'll just read it and then I'll just go ahead and share this book. And so I just want to thank you for tuning in. I got to look at the date. It's for the 17th. So I want to thank you, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I just want to ask that you like and share, and feel free to comment on this reading. So my name is Michael. I'm from the Ihangtuan people, the Yankton Sioux people, and I'm going to go ahead and do this reading, and I'm going to share. Now, I always sort of issue this disclaimer, in which basically I'm going to explain to you that I have no idea what the reading says. The only preparation that I have done for today's reading is that I smudged. And I did that at home. And I also said my prayers, basically. And so that's the only preparation that I do. I don't prepare. The reason why I do that is because it kind of goes along with the vision that I have created for myself, in that some of the things that I would do, I would put myself out of my own comfort zone. I would put myself on the spot so that I could be exposed to that rawness, to that unediting, to that vulnerability of just sort of allowing myself to feel a fear of doing something and not knowing how it's going to turn out, and leaving the editing process out of that. So that's why you'll see me kind of stumble and bumble and go into some confusion. It's because of that. I just will not edit the videos. And maybe someday I will, as I get more used to this, but there is a purpose behind my madness. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and read, and I'm going to let you know that I am on the highway, and I am doing so in a safe way, and make sure I keep a good, safe distance between myself and the people behind me, not going too fast, not going too slow as to create a hazard, but just to make sure that I'm safe when I'm doing these. And I've been doing these for quite a number of years. I believe this is my 8th year doing this live. So I have taken it from another social media to YouTube. So to sort of reach people and sort of spread positivity, spread awareness, spread something, a good positive vibe. Okay, with that, I'll go ahead and get right to the reading for December 10th, 17th. And I also, just real quickly, I'm gonna say that I am Indigenous, I am Native American, and this is sort of Native American influence, but at the same time, the spirit is meant, these are the type of readings that are spiritual in nature. So they will easily pierce through those divisionals of race, religious background, all these things that divide us. These are the type of things that are able to just go ahead and go right through those type of things and bring us together. And so that is really my goal, is to bring people together. All right, December 17th. Hear me, a single twig breaks, but the bundle of twigs is strong. You can take one arrow and break it in half, but if you take 12 arrows in a bundle, it's almost impossible to break any of them. There is strength in unity. When we are together, we are very powerful. When we are together, we are very powerful. This is the way the ancestors told us we need to be strong. We need to unite ourselves. This is why the elders say when we make decisions, we must first consider the good of the people. If every person in the community thinks this way, then we will always make strong decisions. And then there's a prayer at the bottom. It says, Creator, let my decisions have the strength of the bundle. All right, so that's kind of challenging for me to talk about, because for a long time I've kind of been on my own. And I really believe that you need to kind of be on your own to get in touch with yourself, to go within, so that you can be the type of person that thinks deeply, that doesn't make like decisions based on impulse, that doesn't value and recognize the concept or the principle of slowing down and looking within first to make sure that I'm balanced. In whatever I do, I'm balanced, I'm focused, I can gather my thoughts, I can say a prayer, I can take some deep breaths before I go out into the world and start to do what we need to do to make ends meet, to do our jobs, to function in society, to even go out into traffic. And you'll typically know somebody as an indicator who is out of balance. And I just got one of those type of reminders earlier, and I got one of those indicators earlier as I was actually leaving just now. It's kind of snowy. Well, I'm in a place where it's not snowy, but I just left a community where there was snow on the ground. And needless to say that when that happens, everybody that is an experienced driver in the snow knows you have to slow down. You have to have respect for the weather. You have to have respect for the other drivers. You have to know that how you drive is going to slow down in this season. So it's the perfect season to slow down, to think about things, to prepare, to gather in new information, to go into a deep reflection time, because the season of creation and the seasons are doing that right now. We're going into the season, into the cold months, where everything starts to slow down, and then that is the time where we start to look within and start to go inside. We know we're gonna spend a lot more time outside, so we prioritize things that are done on the inside, and like even things that we do within our teepee, in our home. We know that we're going to be beading. We know that we're going to be developing our skills, such as making our weapons for the hunt. We're going to be working on our crafts. We're going to be working with the medicine, preparing the medicines. We're going to be outside, but we're going to be prioritizing a lot of inside things, such as storytelling, passing on traditional knowledge as knowledge keepers and as storytellers. Naturally, that is an important part of developing kinships, relationships, and empowering our next generation with that type of knowledge and through storytelling, but also reminding ourselves of that. And so back to the driver, is just not too long ago, you can tell when somebody's out of balance. And I could tell just as soon as I got on the highway. I have my lights on, I'm doing speed limit, but I'm also driving cautiously. I'm not afraid to go under the speed limit. I'm determining what the road conditions are, because I drive a small car. It's going to look a little bit different than somebody who's driving a 4x4, a big 4x4, a big monster truck. So we're going to be driving a little bit differently, but yet, because we're going to be in balance, we're going to have that respect for somebody that is elderly. We're going to notice that. If I have somebody in my car, I'm going to drive completely different if I have somebody who is elder and I need to slow down out of respect for them, or if somebody has been in a car accident and they remember that, and so I'm going to be very respectful about the person that is a passenger within my vehicle. I'm going to be mindful of that. That is being in balance. And it's really easy to get out of balance in this society relative. So we mustn't fall into this pattern of saying, I'm out of balance, I'm screwed up, I'm messed up, there's something wrong with me. This sort of this cycle of abuse that we do upon ourselves. We need to change that language into saying, because that takes us out of balance, and we need that is a teachable moment. And creation and life always gives us that opportunity to have teachable moments. And of course, the elders always tell us that don't ever be the person who thinks that they know it all, because that is the type of person that isn't wisdom, that isn't the type of person that we are. We know that creation is always changing, it is always evolving. Time is different in spiritual time, and so we always remember that we have so much to learn. We have so much to be in this mindset of, I'm teachable. I always want to go out into this world and know that a teaching can come from anywhere at any time. And then that creates wisdom. That type of personality, that type of philosophy, mentality is the type of teaching, traditionally, the type of attitude that is trusted. We have typically had a mentality of distrust, that we knew if somebody had this aura or this vibe or this energy that they knew it all, that automatically was a red flag. And we knew that through our principles and values that you never stop learning. And so it's always wise, and you can have this no matter how old you are. You can have that type of attitude. It is wise to have this mentality that we never arrive at this place where we know it all. And so that can actually prevent us, that type of attitude, that type of, like, it's really egotistical, and traditionally we don't really trust that. We know that we are teachers because we have knowledge that we pass on to our next generation. And so if even if you're young and you're in high school, you're able to pass on information to somebody that is going into middle school to help your sibling that is afraid to go to middle school. They don't know what it's like to have a locker. They don't know what it's like to sort of have additional responsibilities of getting older. And since we've been there, we're able to pass that information on through our own learning. Now, if I had this attitude that I know everything, and then guess what? That's going to prevent me from this philosophy, from this cycle that is interconnectedness, that is interconnected with the laws of all of creation. I am going to be out of harmony. And so when I go into a family or go into a place where I'm being asked to share, or I'm being asked to pray, or I'm being asked to speak, or I'm just there socially, people are going to pick up on that. They're going to see that I have that type of attitude, and it's going to create sort of, I'm going to create a vibe that takes wherever I'm at, out of harmony, I'm going to kind of be a disruption to the peace of a place that which is probably sacred. So if I'm going to meet with a family, if we're going to be at the dinner table, if I'm going to go to a ceremony, if I'm going to just live my life, because our lives are actual ceremonies. Our lives are ceremonies because we are sacred. Our lives are sacred. We come from spirit. We come from the spiritual world. We come from a place. We just didn't just so happenstance that we're here. We believe that we all have gifts, that we all are connected to each other. We are all connected to the spirit world. We come from there and we'll go back. It's a cycle. And so this philosophy that everybody is sacred is a way of life. And it really is a way that honors each other. And so if I was interacting with somebody who had an attitude or was out of harmony, I would know that. I would be able to pick up on that simply because I know the teachings and I know I've been connected with the respect of this philosophy, and so I know what it's like to be out of harmony and I know what it's like to be in harmony. And so I'm not going to treat somebody that is out of harmony as somebody that is like, I'm not going to use damaging words to indicate that, because when I do that, that is showing me that there is a part of me that needs to learn about that way of life. That is exposing me, and that in itself is that cycle. So nobody ever arrives, and that is usually an indicator of where I am at today. I'm able to make a self-assessment of myself. I'm able to make an evaluation of myself, slow down and ask myself, where am I at? Where is my thinking? Am I thinking in community based, or am I thinking only about myself? And so as I was getting onto the highway, there was a driver that was only thinking about themselves. And it became a very dangerous situation because I know I was involved in it. This person was maybe by no fault of their own, okay? Maybe by no fault of their own, but they were, when you're only focused on yourself, you can't see the vision. You can't get an eagle's view of life. Okay, because now if you're only focused on yourself, you're out of balance, you're out of harmony, and your body responds to that. It automatically creates stress. When you're only focused on yourself, you're leaving everybody out, and you're not able to be available to that interconnectedness, to that unity consciousness. And it becomes obvious, and of course that happens to us all. That's bound to happen to me. That is going to happen to me. That's a part of learning. As I get older, that's going to happen less and less though, because I'm going to learn in ways of how I am as an individual, my own characteristics, and how that exposes itself, how that is revealed itself. But if I have this attitude that says, no, that's not a problem for me, I don't need to worry about that, I'm not going to learn that. I'm not going to age. I'm not going to develop wisdom. And so this truck earlier, they were so hyper-focused on themselves for whatever reason. I mean, I don't know that, so I'm not going to just sort of conditionally judge them. Maybe there was a gal that was pregnant in there. You know, maybe somebody was having a panic attack. maybe they were really scared about the conditions of the road. So I don't know that. Okay? So I'm not going to react out of anger. I'm going to just sort of wonder, and I'm going to sort of back off. And I'm also going to and this truck is also doing the same, and I'll slow down for him. So that might be half my fault. That might be an indicator right there that I was talking to you. But anyways, it has more to do with a car being on the side and then we move over. But yeah, that might be an indicator right there of myself. But I did recognize it, and I did slow down, and then the truck got over. So anyways, so it affects people, it affects us, and it can be dangerous or it can be safe. And so this truck must not have seen me, even though I had my lights on, and he just, I mean, he literally missed me by that much because he didn't put on his blinker. And of course, when he passed me, I saw a couple of men in there. They looked like somebody, like construction workers, and their pickup truck indicated, you know, that they were maybe, you know, those type, that was what they were doing. I mean, I don't know, but that's what appeared. And they just automatically swung over, and I swear they missed me by that much. And so it was easy for me to see that they were out of harmony with what was going on around them. I mean, snow on the ground, everybody else is slowing down. But so it was really obvious to not only me, but whoever saw that, and probably they continue to do that. So their out of harmony was putting everybody at risk around them. And that was a really good teachable moment for myself on the impact that I have when I am out of harmony, and how that affects others, and how that would actually put somebody in danger, but also make people feel safe, because I feel safe when everybody else around me is also respecting the weather and knowing that, hey, like for instance, just this past Saturday, I had a guest over who comes into this part of the country from the West Coast. A friend that is that visits our area like a few times a month, a few times a year, and she's from California. And she comes this way for reasons. And so her and I like to visit because we have sort of the same goals. Well, we had snow on the ground, and she rents a car, and even though she had rented this big 4-wheel drive SUV, she was still scared. And so I could tell the way she parked that she was a California driver. And so she was out of harmony, because not necessarily that it was her fault, but because she wasn't used to driving in the snow, because they don't have snow in the Los Angeles area. They don't ever have to do that. So you can be knowingly out of harmony and bring that to your space, to yourself, to your family, to your community, or you can knowingly know. And she knew. She was like, yeah, I have a problem with driving in the snow. So she was aware of that. And so that goes back to the reading, is that when we are thinking in unity, when we are thinking about others in our decision making, and this is our indigenous way of thinking, is that what are the actions that I'm going to take today? How are they going to impact my community, my family? How are they going to impact in myself? It usually, typically, can be in that order, but in our teachings, we look in the east direction first. And in the east direction is the direction of the individual. So for myself, I also need to get an understanding of my influence on the people around me. So I do need to do that. And by doing that, I'm thinking in community. I'm not just thinking of myself. And what we do in our Indigenous way, in our Native American way, this is a philosophy of life. This is in our blood. This is how our ancestors have always been. And so we think in terms of that when we go about our days. We face the east, or we ask Grandmother Earth, or we ask creation, the ancestors in our conversation. We bring that into the community when there's decisions that need to be made. Okay, so we make decisions not only based upon our community members that we see that are there or that may not be there, but we also are thinking in terms of the people that aren't there. The 7 generations is usually what we're thinking of. How are the decisions I'm making as an individual going to impact the next 7 generations? How are they going to impact my daughter? How are they going to impact my granddaughter? How are they going to impact my granddaughter's daughter? How are they going to impact not only forward, now we're thinking in cycles, right? How are they going to impact my ancestors? Because in our way, we know that our ancestors are still a part of this philosophy. It is a flow. It is an ongoing energy. Okay? So even though we cannot see our ancestors, we know that they are still alive within us. We say we have grandmas and grandpas within us. And when we think in terms of this way of philosophy and way of life, they start to really sort of work with us. And okay, I see a highway patrolman right above me slowing down. Oh, he's slowing down because there's another highway patrolman, and they're going to probably just shoot the bull and visit. But he put his lights on and stuff like that. And now I can see they're pulling up. He pulled up next to his partner, and they're probably just going to visit and run radar. So in our Indigenous philosophy, in our Native American philosophy, we make sure that this is how we are thinking. We don't think in terms of myself. I'm only going to take care of myself. Because, well, even in non-Native philosophy, we think in terms of how am I going to take care of my family? What am I going to do? But we think in terms also of our family's family, our family's family before that. But we also think in terms of our family because we consider ourselves relatives, kinship, blood relatives. So our viewpoint is very much expansive. It's very much about the unseen world, things we cannot see. But when we start to have this philosophy, I'm going to put my gum up here. Sorry, I don't mean to be gross. And so what happens when we have this philosophy and this way of life is this allows us to see more clearly what's in front of us and what's around us and what we are thinking, because this is in harmony This is in unity with natural law. Okay? So this is a system that just doesn't include man, woman, child, human being. Okay? This is interactive with everything around us. And of course, we are at a very fundamental, basic level, we are interactive with everything around us. How do I know that? Because I'm breathing, right? And guess what? So is all of creation. We are literally breathing the same breath. We are sharing oxygen. We are sharing space. We are sharing the grandmother earth. And grandmother earth is sharing the same place with the sun, with the moon, and we're sharing, I mean, it just goes all the way down the line from the smallest living being all the way up to the largest. There is that interconnectedness that cannot be denied, and it shouldn't be denied. It is a philosophy. It is a way of life. And when you bring it into your thought system, when you bring it into your own life, and into how you think, how you behave, how you look at life, all of creation, because we are spirits, right? We are spirits. We are energy. We are moving energy with skin in a human form. Okay? And since we are energy, right? We are energy. Science proves it that we are energy. We are moving around. We are made up of molecules and neutrons and whatever those things are that move on the most basic fundamental level. The truth is that what you see, there is much more to what we see than what we know of. And you can't see that with the naked eye, but if you look under a microscope, you're going to see life at its smallest form. And so we think in that is the philosophy of being indigenous and in harmony with all of creation. Now, how is that going to benefit me? Yeah, that's science, Mike, so what? But in our indigenous culture, when we start to have that type of life and the way that we behave and the way that we think, the way that we pray, and the way that we regard living as, it changes our energy. Okay? It's just, I always go back to this example, okay? Just look at a dog, look at a rabbit, and rabbits are really good at this too. A rabbit is going to know if you are a danger, or if you are nervous, or even if you look at them. They're going to know because how you are, without you even saying a word. They're going to know. I know this. Trust me. A rabbit knows when you see it versus when you don't see it, because they can detect your stare. You can be looking sideways at a rabbit and they will know that you are seeing them because of they have certain gifts. Okay, and rabbits are very, very intuitive. But of course, as human beings, we are taught that they're just little, and what do they offer? We're smarter than them. And what that does is that puts off an energy, just like you would know if I thought less of you, if I didn't have any respect for you. I could say it, but you would know from the energy that I put off that this guy's full of it. This guy's full of it. He's just talking out his you-know-what. He's BSing me because I can tell that he is. Okay, so that's energy. And so what happens is that we make decisions based upon that energy and that interconnectedness with all of creation. And not just the creation, I'm talking about Grandmother Earth, our star nations, the winds, the seasons, all the animals, if that's what you want to call them, we refer to them as relatives. And what happens is they know we have that respect for them. They know that we look at them that way. And so then what happens is they look at us that way. They look at us as we are not a threat to them, and not only that we have this attitude and this philosophy that has respect and sees them as kinship, as family, as we are all related. And so what that happens then is that increases the energy into a space wherever you're at. Okay, it changes that energy, and the important part of that is that brings unity, increases our wisdom, increases our self-knowledge, increases what we put out into the world. And we know by natural law, what we put out into the world comes back to us 4 times. Okay, so if I'm angry and I'm deceitful and I'm a liar, guess what? I'm going to draw that type of energy 4 times back to me. Life itself, that's all I'm going to see about life. I'm going to continue. I'm not going to be able to trust nobody. I'm not going to build solid relationships with people. People aren't going to be able to trust me. And so I'm going to have friends that are like that. And I'm going to be completely cut off from that which is of honesty. I'm going to be cut off. I'm not going to be able to see what life is like through the lens of deep honesty, deep connection. I'm just not going to be, because my life is going to be about what I put out into this world. Okay? And so if I'm thinking only in me, life is going to understand that about me. It's going to take sort of like a pitiful attitude. It's going to see that as a sickness. Nature is not going to just say, well, I'm going to punish you, because nature in harmony is going to say that is somebody that needs something that is out of balance. So it's going to try and work with us in balance. It's only the human being that brings that type of energy to creation. And that's why we have so much to learn. And that's why it's so important for us to be thinking in the philosophies of in harmony. Because if we don't, we're not going to be able to continue to evolve and learn as individuals, as families, as communities, as nations, as tribes. We are literally going to be cutting ourselves off from that wisdom. We're not going to be able to grow. And it's going to, and nature will begin to work with us. It will try and work with us through the dreams. It will start to work with us because we'll start to find ourselves repeating the same mistakes over and over again. And then we'll start to say, man, how come nothing changes? How come I keep meeting the same type of spouse? Why is it that I always attract certain people romantically in my life? Why is it that I always kind of have friendships that don't return the type of friendships that I need? Well, that is because that is revealing and showing something about ourselves that we can work on. Now, we usually will view that as punishment, right? Punishment. Well, that's what I get. I keep messing up. Well, that's not the attitude, and that's not the philosophy of creation. Creation is about keeping in balance. So it knows that the human being needs to learn new language, the language of non-language, the language of compassion, the language. We need to learn that. And so when we run into a moment like that, we can then look at it in a certain way, and we can look at it and say, that's one of those teachable moments. This is my opportunity to grow. And so rather than resenting the person who isn't returning that type of attention or love or romantic, in resenting that, in repeating that cycle, we can then look at that type of person and have a different attitude and saying, this is a teachable moment. This is life itself, knowing that I have that type of lesson to learn, and it's given me that opportunity to learn that interconnectedness. And that's also teaching me the type of people that are unhealthy for me to be around, but also teaching me and pushing me and hinting to me, and sometimes waving the red flag and saying, look, when are you going to learn? And saying, you have a choice to make new decisions. And what you've done is you've pointed the finger all this time at the other person, and this keeps on repeating the same pattern. Now what you must do is you must look at this as an opportunity for you to grow. This is a teachable moment. This is me loving you. This is your opportunity to love yourself. This is also an opportunity to develop community. Now, community often involves what type of community do we want to create. And that means sometimes we have to identify patterns in our lives and people in our lives that aren't in harmony with the way that we are walking. And so sometimes, unfortunately, we need to leave people and walk away. Unfortunately, that is a part of this process. That is a part of life. That is the way that it is. That is, and if you look at creation, it will do that too. Everything in creation is evolving at its own course, and that is something that we oftentimes don't understand. And so we do have to go with what we do understand. I understand at this time that I can't be in a relationship with that person. And thank God I've learned that, because now I know what I need. And now I know, and since I know that now, finally, oftentimes, I'm taking another step, another footprint on this road. And now the next step is going to be revealed to me, but not in a lateral way, not in a one way, in a cyclical way. Okay? So we're thinking we're expanding, not just in one direction. This allows us to expand in all the directions. And that is natural law. And so that's what those type of changes will allow us to do, is to expand in all directions. Going back, going forward, going sideways, going up, going down, everything. We are now out of the box. We're out of the box. Okay? And so that's what's so important about community. Unity, community, it's no, I mean, they're the same word, community, unity, right? And that's what we're a part of. And usually, and oftentimes, and this is my experience, is you get used to doing things yourself. You get used, I had this attitude that only I could rely upon myself, that I was alone. Okay, and what does that lead to? There is some benefits to that, because now I know, now I'm very comfortable going off alone and seeking guidance and wisdom from the lands, from the stars. I feel very comfortable doing that. But at the same time, many of us have grown acclimated to thinking that we can only trust ourselves, okay? So that's part of this healing process as well. That is something that can be changed. And I know, because you're looking at it right in front of you. But I'm not going to be able to change unless I identify it as something that does need to change. And oftentimes, it also has to do with the language that we use towards myself. I'm going to shy away, I'm going to stay away from this language that says, look, I've been doing this on my own, and it will always be that way. That has a real negative connotation to it, right? So I can rephrase that, and I can say, I was taught, and I was taught to how to only depend on myself, and now I know that's not what I want for myself. I want to be a part of a community, and the benefit of that is that I can help other people who as well feel the same way that I feel or once felt, and who also believe that they too were always going to be alone. I can have compassion. I can actually understand where that person is coming from. I know what it's like, and so that builds the trust, and we are then in a position to go out and be helpful to somebody who needs that experience. Okay, so that really is like bringing a positive way on something that can often, that we're used to feeling negative about. And so when I take that footprint and I make that step, now I'm going to be guided into that community thinking, because now I'm thinking in terms of community. I'm thinking less of myself in a humble way. I'm not thinking less of myself like you're better than me. I'm thinking less of myself as in I'm thinking more about other people. So that is in harmony with the reading that we talked about. And so when I take that next footprint on that, in this cycle of life, and in harmony, I'm going to know that at times that I am out of harmony. And that's when you let somebody be a relative to you, to help you, so they can grow. And then when I'm in harmony, then I'm going to be the one that is going to be helpful. And we can just ask the Creator, ask God, however it is, for that to be revealed. And nature will then work with us, because it knows we have asked. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. I want to thank you for tuning in. If you want to have a comment, please feel free to comment. If you want to connect, if you look at my YouTube page, my email is there, so you can contact me through that. And we can have a good visit. So as relatives, from one relative to another, I'm just going to say thank you for watching. And I hope you are in good spirits today. And if not, then I send my energy of compassion and love and unity to you, that what you need is going to find you. And you are going to find what you need. So, all right, I'll talk to you later.